So, you're a senior multi-cloud architect. That email from the auditors just hit your inbox, and you feel that familiar pit in your stomach, right? You're already picturing the weeks of manual data pulls, trying to make sense of spreadsheets, and just the sheer headache of proving compliance across AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. It's a total nightmare. But what if? What if there was a much, much better way? Okay, let's get into it, because today we're not just talking about a solution, we're going to architect one together.
Here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll navigate that tricky multi-cloud maze together. Then we'll sketch out a vision for a fully automated pipeline. After that, we'll dig into the nuts and bolts of building your evidence stream. And then, this is the cool part, we'll forge an unbreakable cryptographic chain of trust. And finally, we'll see what it actually looks like to go from total chaos to confident compliance.
All right, let's start with where things are right now. We're stepping into the multi-cloud compliance maze. This is the high-stakes reality where even one missing log file can cause some serious problems. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The one that probably keeps you up at night. This isn't about proving compliance in one simple, clean environment. No way. It's about telling one single, coherent story from three completely different platforms. They all have their own services, their own logging formats, their own APIs. It's like you're trying to conduct a beautiful symphony of compliance from a total cacophony of systems. And this slide, this just lays out that nightmare perfectly. You're trying to wrestle with these completely different log formats that just don't want to talk to each other. Meanwhile, your configurations are changing all the time, right? That's the whole point of your CI/CD pipelines. And the actual evidence collection, it's this soul-crushing manual process of copy-pasting, taking screenshots, and, with all that manual work, the risk of human error is just through the roof. This isn't just unsustainable, it's pretty much impossible to defend in a real. Okay, enough about the problem, let's start talking about the solution. Section 2 is all about the vision. It's about an automated audit pipeline that gives you continuous, and more importantly, verifiable compliance. Just think about that for a second. Seriously. Imagine a world where instead of you having to hunt down the evidence just comes to you automatically, securely, from every single corner of your multi-cloud world. Look, this isn't science fiction. This is a strategic shift from putting out fires to having a proactive, automated system of assurance. So how do we actually build this thing? Section 3 is where we get practical. We're going to look at the core components you need to put together this automated evidence stream. The whole architecture really boils down to this simple 3-step flow. First up, collect. Your pipeline uses the native tools, the cloud APIs and event streams, to automatically grab all the artifacts you need from AWS, Azure, and GCP. Step 2, centralize. This is so important. It pulls all that different data into one central place and, get this, normalizes it into a standard format. That's how you get that single pane of glass view. And finally, package. The system automatically puts all this evidence together into these neat audit-ready kits, perfectly formatted and good to go. So what exactly are we collecting? Well, this slide shows the 3 absolute pillars of your audit evidence. First, you need configuration snapshots. These give you a perfect point-in-time record of your systems. Second, user access logs. The who did what when. And third, you need the results from all your security scans. You put those 3 together and you have a complete, undeniable picture of your compliance posture. Now we get to the most important part of this entire system. See, it's not enough to just collect the evidence. You have to be able to prove that it hasn't been touched. This is where we forge an unbreakable chain, making sure your evidence is totally tamper-proof. And this is the secret sauce right here. It's called evidence chaining. Here's why this is so powerful. As each piece of evidence comes in, a log file, a config snapshot, whatever, the system creates a unique digital fingerprint for it, using cryptography, like an SHA-256 hash. Then, and here's the brilliant part, it embeds that fingerprint into the next piece of evidence it collects. This creates an unbreakable link, a chain. If anyone, anywhere, tries to alter even a single byte of old evidence, that cryptographic link shatters, and it becomes instantly obvious that something's wrong. It is mathematical proof of integrity. That's something you can't argue with in a legal or regulatory challenge. The absolute best way to think about this is like the chain of custody for evidence in a crime lab, right? Each piece of evidence goes into a sealed bag, and that seal is documented. Well, our cryptographic hashes, those are the digital seals. They prove without a doubt that from the second that evidence was collected to the moment the auditor sees it, nothing has been changed. It's mathematically verifiable.
So after all this architectural work, what's the big payoff? Let's take a look at what this transformation from chaos to a state of continuous compliance actually feels like.
And this slide just says it all. I mean, look at the before column. That's the world of manual hunts for evidence, weeks of stress, and a huge risk of human error. That's probably the world you're living in now. But now, look at the after column. Your evidence collection is totally automated. You are always audit ready 24/7. And most importantly, your data is verifiable and completely tamper-proof. You're not just compliant anymore. You can prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. So, here's the bottom line. You started this explainer as a senior multi-cloud architect facing this massive, stressful challenge. Now you have a real, concrete, actionable strategy for verifiable compliance. You have the blueprint to build a system that works for you, not the other way around. And that really leaves us with just one final thought. Once your audit trail is secure and automated, those weeks, literally weeks, that you used to spend on manual prep are now yours again. So the real question is, what are you going to innovate? What new value are you going to build for your company with all that time you just got back?